We took the metro to the Georges V stop, walked up to the Champs-Élysées, and off in the distance to the northwest, there was the Arc de Triomphe, one of the most famous monuments in Paris. It stands in the center of the Place Charles de Gaulle, at the western end of the Champs-Élysées. The monument stands 164 feet in height, 148 feet wide, and 72 feet deep. The arch was commissioned in 1806 after Napoleon's victory at Austerlitz. The original designer, Jean Chalgrin, died during its construction in 1811, and the work was resumed by Jean-Nicolas Guyot. It wasn't completed until the reign of King Louis-Philippe between 1833 and 1836, under the directions of Héricard de Thury. On December 15th, Napoleon's remains were carried underneath the arch on their way to its final resting place, Hôtel des Invalides. The arch has been the location for many military victory marches. However, after the interment of the unknown soldier beneath the arch, all military parades have avoided marching through it out of respect. Both Charles de Gaulle and Hitler observed this practice. When President Kennedy was assassinated in 1963, Mrs. Kennedy remembered the eternal flame at the arch from their visit in 1961 and requested an eternal flame be put at Kennedy's grave in Arlington National Cemetery. President de Gaulle attended the funeral and watched Mrs. Kennedy light the eternal flame, which had been inspired by her visit to France. The arch is surrounded by an extremely chaotic roundabout. Trying to cross to get to the arch would be suicide. There's an underground tunnel allowing access to the island, and you can buy tickets to climb to the top of the arch at a kiosk in the tunnel. My wife and I, rather than buying tickets and climbing to the top of the arch, decided to stay humble, to stay on the ground amongst the people. On the way out of the tunnel, I saw this on the wall. While I can't say much for their method of advertising, it struck me that no matter the culture, some things, like music, are universal. We walked along the Champs-Élysées, just taking in the sights. I would argue that the Champs-Élysées is the most famous boulevard in Paris, perhaps the world. It runs a little over a mile through the 8th arrondissement, or administrative district, in northwestern Paris, from the Place de la Concorde, which we'll visit later, to the Arc at Place Charles de Gaulle. It's famous for its theaters, cafes, high-end shops, and an annual military parade in celebration of Bastille Day on July 14th, my son's birthday. In 2004, we had dinner in an Asian restaurant which was on a side street, and we decided to see if we could find it again. Luckily, we did. Coq Ping at 4 or 4 Rue Balzac, which is rated 4 out of 5 stars, is a short walk from Place Charles de Gaulle, and it's worth it. Serena had a dish of salmon rolls in a rich, tangy coconut sauce. I went with the chicken fried rice. Both were delicious, but it seemed to have more of a Western influence than what I recall, in that it was a bit on the salty side, and my wife's dish was smothered with the sauce. But the meal was still very satisfying, and I highly recommend this place. I have to say, I found it fascinating that the staff, which was all Asian, spoke broken English, but their French sounded flawless. Of course, this is to be expected, but, visiting from America, it was just interesting. I give them high marks on the bathroom. They provide cloth towels for hand drying, which always wins over paper towels, and they have a basket for towel collection, green and sanitary. I can't speak for all of France, but in Paris, tipping is not expected. However, if you're happy with the service, it's customary to leave a tip of no more than 10%. France uses the euro for its money, but we pay with American Express whenever possible. By now, the sun had set, and we got to see the Champs-Élysées all lit up. Turning to our right, we saw the arch bathed in amber, so we had to go back and get some more shots. To the south, through the treetops, we could see the Eiffel Tower. It was now nearly 9 p.m. and we had only had roughly 4 hours of sleep since our flight the night before. But whether our clocks were off, whether our nap had energized us, or whether our energy came from the fact that 40 is the new 30, we decided to go check it out. So we hopped on the M6 Metro, and there's an entrance right at the arch, and we headed off to the Eiffel Tower.